Welcome to Buck the World podcast with your hosts Al and Bill. How you doing, Al?
I'm pretty sure you're supposed to say your own name first, but whatever. I'm doing really good. Aside from
I already
nitpicking,
told you I can't do this. I can't do these intros.
aside from
I hate
nitpicking
them.
your intro, I'm ecstatic.
Yeah. How can you not be after that win? I mean, how exciting is that?
It was the highlight of my week, but it's only Monday, so
Let's just undercut all of the excitement that we have. Man, can we just say that this team is very special? That there were so many times in this game that I was getting incredibly frustrated, but all it took was a bench mob featuring George Hill as the MVP to basically take the game away from the Celtics when it was incredibly close and frustrating. He was, I'll just go straight to George Hill. He was absolutely incredible tonight. So
I think the
apart
best.
from that miss layup, George, that was pretty bad. That's a pretty bad miss layup, dude. That was very easy. That's bad.
I
But
think
anyways,
I think the best way to state George Hill's impact is comparing it to Andre Iguodala when he won Finals MVP. Um,
don't get me all excited like that.
um, he's guarding the best player on the other team for a lot of his minutes. You know, he's not starting, but like he's taking a large chunk of the minutes. Even when he shares the court with Bledsoe now, he's taking a lot of the minutes on Kyrie. He's scoring effectively. And like the reason that he would win MVP over Giannis, even though he wouldn't, and Curry should have won it over Iguodala, but that's a different thing,
Yeah,
is that Hill's doing stuff that you don't expect him to do. Giannis is doing what we expect him to do. Like tonight was sublime, Giannis. Like 39, 15. Like that's special. But like
68% true shooting.
yeah, he was an insane percent from the field until he no, I think he finished a little bit worse than he was, but at one point he was like 9 for 13 or something like that. He was shooting. I mean, he still finished with like 60%, but
It wasn't game one where he was terrible. So
yeah,
like,
yeah. So, but let's stick with George Hill for a second here. George Hill has been so good doing everything. He's playing great defense. He's distributing well. He's driving well. He's finishing at the rim. He looks explosive at times, and he's knocking down open threes when he gets the chance. I mean, he's not like a prolific shooter by any means, but he's been pretty effective.
yeah, I mean, what are his 3-point shooting percentages in the playoffs so far? Because I mean, he was terrible in the regular season, well below career averages for him. So I don't even know what they are.
Uh, just give me 1 second.
Yeah, let's start with our first dead air.
Yeah, our dead air stat check.
But I mean, him being able to, that was like, I mean, let's just face it. Since he came back from that injury, he just feels like a different player to me. Like it feels like, I don't know, like George Hill is kind of one of those conundrum players. Like those, like if you look back at his career, I mean, it's dominated mainly by his time in Indiana with those really good Pacers teams.
Yeah.
With
there you go.
No, I'm trying to remember the coach who is not coach. No, I used to love
Scott
Vogel. I was a
Vogel.
Vogel-liever.
Frank Vogel.
Frank Vogel. I was a hashtag Vogel-liever for a long time. So
yeah, I wanted him as the Bucks coach. I thought that the Bucks should fire Kidd early and hire Frank Vogel, and then Frank Vogel went to the Magic, and the Magic didn't improve very much. And now he's not the coach
in
of the
some
Magic.
ways. Yeah, is he still coaching? We're getting really off track.
He's probably an assistant somewhere, but
okay. I mean, he was, but anyways, not to get
George
too far off.
40% from three in the playoffs.
Okay, there you go. Yeah,
entering
40%.
Today's game, so it's going to drop a little bit after he went 1 for 3, but good.
And the fact that 64% true shooting.
Bledsoe recovered late, but he was kind of having a dud of a game to start with.
Yes.
And he's had some games where he sort of struggled with turnovers and stuff like that. So to be able to take him off ball for a little bit. Let's move on to Eric Bledsoe. Those blocks he had today, they're so huge. Like they're just so impressive and they're deflating. And I really think that atmosphere played into this one so much. I think that the Celtics had an opportunity to come out here and put their foot on the Bucks' necks and just sort of stomp the life out of us and take a 2-2 lead back into Milwaukee and make the Bucks win Game 5 and Game 7 at home. Instead, they let the Bucks hang around for a bit. They got off to, I don't know what their largest lead was. Was it 10 or 12?
That sounds about right.
Yeah, so the Celtics were up 10 or 12 at one point, and they let the Bucks get
First
back
quarter
in
was real rough.
They let the Bucks hang around, and it's like, yeah, the Bucks aren't going to miss these wide open threes forever. You're going to have to give them more effort on defense. And the Bucks cranked up the intensity in the second half, and they were able to just sort of lock down on defense. So even when they weren't hitting shots, they were right there. And then Giannis picks up his fourth foul, and the Bucks are able to just power sort of through it with a bench unit. And it's like, you have to take advantage of these minutes when Giannis and Chris aren't on the court. If you don't do that, you're not going to win a playoff series against this Milwaukee Bucks team. Long story short, they did not, and they were pretty bad.
Yeah, the ebbs and flows of that game were certainly kind of, they were pretty interesting. You had what was sort of a disastrous first quarter for both teams in a way. I don't know, like it was weird. Like the Celtics handily beat us in that quarter, but they looked pretty bad too. Like the Bucks weren't playing defense. The Celtics, I don't know. It was going their way for a while. Second quarter comes around, we win that quarter. I think 25-19. The game's much closer. We're down to going into halftime again for what feels like the umpteenth game in this playoff. Like where we're down at halftime. It's like it's getting to the point where, like at halftime, I'm like, as long as it's close, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Were you even a little concerned?
I really wasn't, but I feel like that's weird though. I feel like I should be.
We had a lead shortly before halftime, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna feel pretty good about this." And then we're down 2, and I'm like, feeling really good about this.
Yeah.
You know, Giannis picking up his third foul was the only thing that sort of gives you pause. And
well, with Bledsoe at 3, Chris at 3, I think, and Hill at 3, I was concerned, to be honest with you.
So foul trouble sort of seemed like it was going to play a role. And, you know, I commended Bucks fans on not being ref blamers. And then
I ref blamed.
And then the game gets off to a little bit of a bad start, and everything starts falling down. And everybody's like, "The Bucks are not going to win this game. They're playing 5-on-8," and I'm like, "Let's give it a little bit of time." You know, the refs are going to make some bad calls on individual refs are swayed by comments like that. Not every ref will be, but individual refs can be swayed. But at the end of the day, the refs are still going to do their best to make the right calls because they're professionals too.
Wait, hold on. You're saying it's not a conspiracy and they didn't want the series to go 2-2? Wait, what?
There's actually no conspiracies.
Excuse me. What? Whoa. I don't know if we should continue this podcast, Al. I'm not sure.
Let me say this. Do you think any other series is going to end in 5 games?
Well, you're assuming that
I think the Warriors are the only ones that have a chance, I guess.
I'm still not sleeping on the Raptors, dude. So
well, they can't end it in 5 games.
Wait, I thought you were speaking in perspective of like the Bucks going to like further future opponents.
We can talk about that in a sec. Let's talk about Kyrie Irving for a second.
Okay.
Everybody after game 2 was like, Kyrie Irving's never going to play that bad again. Kyrie Irving after game 3, I'm never going to play this bad again. Kyrie Irving in game 4, horrible.
Yeah, let's go. 44 minutes, by the way, 44 minutes.
Oh, gosh.
7 for 22 from the field. 1 for 7 from 3. What else do we got?
He did score more points.
4 turnovers. 4 turnovers. He did have 10 assists. That's actually kind of surprising. 5 fouls, but he was the only starter with a negative plus minus, -6. So
I got
he was
Horford and
bad.
Jaylen Brown -2.
Oh, you do. Oh yeah, you're right. Wow. Okay, they're both -14, -13. I'm sorry. I thought those were plus signs.
That would be pretty impressive if Al Horford was +14 in a game they lost by 12.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah. But he was bad.
no, he wasn't good. The thing about the Celtics is they have a lot of guys who think they can shoot. They do not have a lot of guys who can shoot. Marcus Morris 1 for 4, Jason Tatum 1 for 5, Kyrie Irving 1 for 7, Jaylen Brown 2 for 5, Gordon Hayward 0 for 2, Marcus Smart 1 for 7 from 3. Remember when Marcus Smart coming back was their secret weapon?
Oh man.
The problem with Marcus Smart and Terry Rozier is that they think that they can shoot the basketball, and they can't. And they can't at all, and that's really unfortunate for them.
Terry Rozier had some truly like mind-numbing plays. Smart kept passing on open like threes. He would pump fake, and I sort of shook my head. I face palmed. I was like, man, like even as like I guess that's like the inner basketball fan in me. Like, come on, Celtics. Like, what are you doing? What is you doing? Like. Rozier's bad.
They got up 41 attempts from 3. They shot 22%. The Bucks shot 21.6% from 3. It was not a 3-point shooting game.
No.
But do you know what the Bucks do really well, Bill?
Get to the rim?
Yep. They scored 66 points in the paint. So
is this the first game that they've really sort of overcome their? I haven't looked at the points in the paint totals for Game 3 and Game 2, but I know Game 1 was a disaster, and I remember
the Bucks won the battle by 28 in Game 3, 52 to 24. And,
so it was just Game 2 where it was a concern, and they still won.
Yeah, in Game 2 it was a 2-point loss, but then they lost it pretty handily in Game 1. But Game 1 was a lot of things went wrong in Game 1. The Bucks didn't play up to their opponents at all. They played down a lot, but so let's honestly go to Twitter. We actually got a couple of questions. We're pretty excited about it. So we got a couple from Nick Herring. Nick Herring's been following me forever. He's a really nice guy. So shout out to him. He asked, what do you expect for Game 5?
I'll start with that one. I think that the Bucks are going to handily win Game 5. I don't know.
I think the Celtics come out and lay an egg. I think that there's going to be some locker room talk tomorrow, and I think Kyrie Irving is done. I think we've seen him play his last game in TD Garden as a Celtic. The lights aren't for him. I shouldn't say the lights at Boston because he might end up in New York. Next year.
I don't think he's ever going to do extremely well as the primary star on a team.
No, so, I wouldn't be surprised if he's playing with Kevin Durant or LeBron James next year. Yeah, and maybe it's bad that in his 4th year in the league he got to play with the best player in the league. Maybe that's the problem, but he's not ready for it. And at this point in his career, I don't know if he'll ever be ready for it. It's too much pressure on him, and even with Al Horford's help, he hasn't been able to really get going. And in theory, the Celtics are a good team. On paper, they're a great team.
They always have been.
So how about another question from Nick? Will Bud play the bench this deep in the upcoming rounds?
I can firmly say that I don't think that that's going to change much. I think that, gosh, there's so much to unload with these questions, but we did see a start. Like when last time we podcasted, we were talking about, we were kind of wrong. So let's straight up talk about that, which was, like, will Bud make a lot of changes in Game 2? He did. He changed around the starting lineup, and they started switching pretty heavily. We were wrong about that. He of course didn't say that he was going to, because he's not an idiot. But they made some changes. So will they continue to make changes? I don't know. I think Bud really has really impressed me with his coaching, with like his adjustments in this round, by the way. I think he's I can't really definitively predict his behavior at this point. I think that we're going to continue to see like Ursan and Pat, no matter how poorly they sometimes play. Not that I mean Pat was good today, and so was Ursan, but
Pat second on the team in rebounds with 10. Somehow he's
yeah,
had 2 double-digit rebound games off the bench. Third in minutes played tonight. His minutes are just weird. One thing I'd like to note, I wouldn't be shocked if Malcolm Brogdon gets the Sterling Brown minutes, and they sort of granted, that was only 9 minutes tonight. I honestly think that a 9-man rotation is perfect for the playoffs most nights, so I wouldn't honestly expect anything different. But let's transition to Brogdon, because that's what Nick's other 2 questions are about. Will Brogdon come back for Game 5, and how does he fit in the rotation when he comes back?
I don't think Brogdon is coming back till next round, and I think he's going to be sort of like the way people were saying that they were going to work him back the way they did Mirotic. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with Brogdon. I think they worry about upsetting like in-game chemistry, which I don't know. Then when I say that, I doubt myself too, though. I don't think we're seeing him for the rest of the series, Al. I think it'll be next series. He'll be coming off the bench. He's not going to start for the rest of this season, but I think there's a chance we see him come off the bench as sort of like that, like the Sterling Brown role. Maybe he gets like 10 minutes. They just see what he looks like. They give him a chance to show that he's not a complete turd on the court, like that, because you can't afford to fuck around with that at this point.
You can give him a 3-minute stint and see how it goes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like Sterling had 9 minutes tonight. They were good.
And I don't know if he would have had 9 minutes if Chris and Eric were in such big foul trouble.
Exactly.
So we got a question from Steven Anderson at S_McAnderson. And he just said Bledsoe. So let's talk about that for a sec. We talked about how he got off to a bit of a slow start, but at the end, when he's getting by his guy, you can't stop him. And his defense, even when he's not on ball, his help defense can be really impactful.
Yes, his a lot of that tonight
have gotten a lot smarter, and I think that's key.
Mm-hmm. With Bledsoe, I've sort of continued to be disappointed in him in this series, even in this game. He had like you said, he had those great blocks. He had great off-ball defense. He was poked the ball out a couple of times. But, his minutes have consistently sort of bewildered me for the guy that they just threw a big $17 million a year, 4-year extension at.
4th year team option.
Yeah, 4th year team option, correct.
Which might be non-guaranteed. That doesn't matter.
Yeah, same principle. But, his minutes have... Again, 28 minutes tonight. I believe in Game 3, George Hill played 2 more minutes than Bledsoe. Like, Bledsoe has handily outplayed Bledsoe, or
Hill has handily outplayed Bledsoe.
Yes. Bledsoe, I don't know. Bledsoe's sort of a conundrum because I've always been kind of a huge fan of him this season, but he's really got to play better than this. Like, he's got to be more impactful. When he gets to the rim, like, there's just got to be more there from a guy that we just committed to for at least three more years. There's got to be more. And you got like the minutes, like fact Pat Connaughton has also consistently played more minutes than him. Like that's weird to me that they're committing to this player and they don't even feel safe with him being like firmly 3rd in minutes, like behind like Giannis and Chris. I don't know with Bledsoe. Like, I love him, but
and I think Steven wanted us to say some more positive things, and I'm sorry for that, Steven.
Yeah, sorry, Steven.
We actually had a few more questions come in. Is George Hill the 2nd greatest Buck of all time after Giannis? I'm gonna have to say no. We've talked at length about George Hill and how fantastic he's been, but on a serious note,
no, obviously that's bad.
And then that was from Milwaukee Matt at MKE Matt 13. And then we got a question from Ryan Dietrich at Dietrich Ryan on Twitter. Is the series over? As in, will the Bucks complete the gentleman's sweep? We both think they will win Game 5 pretty easily.
Yeah,
teams have come back from down 3-1 before. I do not think this Celtics team is that team. They would have to come into the Fiserv Forum, where the Bucks have been close to unbeatable all year. Even though the Celtics have won there already this round, I don't anticipate them doing it again.
Yeah, what I have learned this year from Bucks basketball after that Sunday noon loss, by the way, is that the one thing I can firmly say is that if the Bucks have their game where they play like a noon start on like a Sunday, maybe I will just say they're going to straight up lose, because they've firmly shown that they're the better team in the rest of these games. So I'm not really worried.
And then we got one last question from AJS at Applender. I've followed AJS forever. I've had so many conversations with him over Twitter. He's a Marquette fan, but he's a really good guy. He said, who would you rather see in the next round? So he's counting his chickens before they hatch, but I feel like we are too. Are you a superstitious guy at all?
Sometimes I don't know. I'm the wrong guy to answer that question.
I don't believe in jinxes at all. Like, I can say that Giannis made 100 free throws in a row, and if he misses the next one, I'll say he was due.
Wait, you're saying that you and I, these human beings sitting behind their fucking computers right now and talking to each other about the game of basketball, are not affecting what's actually happening on court?
I know, as crazy as that sounds, and as big of an ego as I have, I do not believe that I impact NBA basketball.
You underestimate yourself.
Okay,
clearly.
So I would rather face Philly. I think that Philly's a worse team. I think they have very little depth, and Embiid eats the same food that I do, which is horrible for you. So
oh, that was good.
So I do not anticipate him being able to maintain his effectiveness into the third round.
The most interesting conversation I had this week on Twitter about the Bucks, which is admittedly today's Monday, so it's been 2 days. I had a conversation with Ben Rauman and Last Firstism, who's back on Twitter. He's a great follow. You guys should all follow him.
I love Ben too. While we're talking about it, Ben's my favorite.
Yeah, Ben's great. Ben's another loss tonight, and we're gonna try and catch a game, by the way.
Oh, that's terrific.
Yeah. Anyways, we were talking about, like, who's the biggest challenge to the Bucks leading to the finals, and they were all kind of. I was also Mike Suzik, but they were all sort of descending on the Celtics, and I just, because the Celtics, like, partly because of the way kind of they run their offense and the matchups that they have, but also part of it is still that preseason expectation thing. It's still, I can still see it when people talk about the Celtics. They still get scared of what is on paper a fantastic team that has yet to come together. And we've seen it in this series. We've seen it basically all series, even in game one. Like, it's still the Raptors, guys. The Raptors are still the toughest opponent. Like, I'm still convinced of that. They are the only team besides the Bucks that have run a consistent system. They've had decent chemistry. They have good players named Kawhi Leonard and Kyle Lowry. I know he's had his struggles, but he's still Kyle Lowry. And they have the emergence of Pascal Siakam, who I don't think anybody on the Bucks can theoretically stop very well, including Giannis. That's the team I'm scared of. And the Sixers, people worry about the Sixers so much because of those big names that they have. Embiid, Simmons, like Redick, Harris. Oh my gosh, Harris, what a bad trade. But I'm just, it's the Raptors still. I really think that it's the Raptors. I don't know.
I just want to say succinctly, you're wrong. I know you think that the Celtics are just preseason expectations. The Celtics were the toughest team for the Bucks to beat in the East. The Celtics have a dynamic pull-up threat that can kill the Bucks in their pick and roll coverage. The Bucks are just going to go back to their basic pick and roll coverage next round, and it shouldn't be a problem. Kyle Lowry's not going to kill him on that. No. Danny Green's not going to kill him on that. And they're going to have Chris Middleton guarding Kawhi Leonard. and Chris is an adequate defender, he's going to make Kawhi work a lot harder than either Ben Simmons or whoever is on him right now.
Shooting, though.
Yeah,
it doesn't really matter.
So Kawhi's due for regression, and the Sixers have done a horrible job on him. Kawhi's not playing the same level of defense that he was earlier in his career. He's, I believe, entering Game 4, opponents were shooting 67% when Kawhi was their primary defender. Conversely, Kawhi is shooting like 100% when anybody's his primary defender. But they don't have that pick and pop big. The Marc Gasol is afraid to take threes. Doesn't scare me at all. He's slow. He's not Al Horford. Al Horford swallows up Giannis at times. They've done a really good job of getting somebody else on Giannis so that Giannis doesn't have to beat Al Horford, which is good. That's just good coaching. That's good basketball, that he knows how to use screens and get a different guy switched on to him too. Philly doesn't scare me at all. My take since the Bucks started the Celtics series has been, if the Bucks beat the Celtics, they're going to the NBA Finals.
Oh yeah, I'm not like worried. I'm just
saying I think it's going to be even easier, and this has been pretty easy.
So you think, okay, let's say the Bucks win next game. You think they're going to take the Raptors in like 4? You think it's going to be straight?
No, I don't think they're going to take them in 4. They might take them in 5, but it'll be an easier 5. Not all 5-game series are created equal.
You're right. Yeah, and the Bucks have had to go through adjustments, but those adjustments, I mean, I don't think they've been like totally profound.
I think those adjustments help prepare them for the Warriors because Steph's a bigger threat than Kyrie is. What they're going to have to do against Kawhi Leonard is similar to Kevin Durant. Chris is going to have his work cut out for him the next 2 rounds as he guards 2 of the top 5 small forwards in the league. I don't know. I don't really know. The Bucks probably won't beat the Warriors, but it'll be fun.
Yeah, we are definitely getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but with this,
we just got to make sure that we trash talk Durant as much as possible, so he leaves, and then the Bucks win the title next year. Not that Kevin Durant's the only thing standing in their way, but if he wasn't on the Warriors, we can beat any other team in the West. I don't even know if the Warriors make the finals, and they probably still make the finals. I don't know. Do you think they can get back to as good as they were?
It's like, are you talking like pre-Durant Warriors? Yeah. Oh,
I don't think they can beat that team again.
No, they're too old, I think, for that now. I think that time has passed.
Steph's not that old.
No, but as collectively as a team, there's just a lot more years.
They just don't have anybody on their bench anymore. Like Harrison Barnes was really good for them. I know he cost them that ring against LeBron and gave the 3-1 lead almost entirely him. Like it was almost entirely him that played that badly and pricked all those open threes. But like, I don't know. So we're a little off topic, but let's just say that we like the Bucks matchups in the next round, no matter who they play. Let's talk about Giannis to close it out, because we haven't really captured on how great he was. He was 15 for 22 tonight. He's shooting 67% against the field. I had a tweet earlier this week. Didn't quite do the numbers I wanted it to do. I said that Brad Stevens is a horrible basketball coach and he should just make Giannis shoot. And I tweeted out his shot chart, the same shot chart that Ryan Hollins tweeted out to criticize him. I think that's funny. I actually think that's heckin' hilarious, and I was disappointed that my followers did not agree with me. And I would like to say to all of them, do better. And I would like to say to Brad Stevens, do better.
This is just June's followers, by the way. This is not Buck the World listeners. You guys are great. The few of you there are, so we're not gonna criticize you quite yet.
That was all sarcastic. Well, kind of. You can't just make Giannis shoot. I don't know why people thought they could say that on Twitter all year and that it would happen in the playoffs. It's never happened in the playoffs.
The Celtics didn't even play him that way, though. They Horford huddled him on the perimeter. So like they weren't trying to force him to shoot necessarily. They were just trying to make him uncomfortable. And he's consistently gotten better every single game he's played against them in this series. Game 1 was bad. Game 2 was better. Game 3 was better. Game 4 he was even better. Like, he can't be stopped. Like in the fourth quarter he essentially just took over. the Celtics were within 10. They knocked it back down to 7 at times. Like if the Celtics really wanted this, because they put themselves in a huge hole. You made the foot on the throat metaphor, which I didn't think made sense from their side. I think it makes more sense from us. This was our chance to put our feet, or the Bucks' feet, on their throats, and they did it. But the Celtics should have been scrappy. They should have been like, let's do an Avengers like metaphor. They should have been like freaking Captain America, cornered before he gets the super serum in Captain America: The First Avenger. They should have been cornered and ready to fight, and they didn't. I don't know.
They rolled over tonight.
I think that they were really feisty in the first half, but they rolled over at the end, I think. I mean, part of that is Giannis is amazing, but the bench mob is what won us this game. I mean, all you have to do is look at the plus minuses to see that.
It's like if you're running track and you know that Giannis is your anchor. They just had to get the baton to Giannis and let him go to work. They just had to keep the deficit close enough. And it turns out they handed him a lead. And when your anchor's the fastest guy on your team and you hand him a lead, it's game over.
That's a good metaphor. That's good. That's good, Al.
That's just good podcasting.
Now this is podcasting. That was actually, a terrible joke, but
that would actually be a pretty good logo. It's just it's Giannis with the goggles on, and it says no, that's podcasting.
No, this is podcasting. All right, listener with Adobe Photoshop skills, get on it.
What else is there to say? I think we covered it. I think we properly basked in the light that is Game 4 and the Bucks' dominance. We previewed Game 5. Even if the Celtics win Game 5, the Bucks probably win Game 6, and if they don't win Game 6, they definitely win Game 7. Like, I can't even imagine there being a Game 6.
It would be epic if it went to 7. Like, the Celtics would listen to this podcast, they'd be like, "Fuck you, Bill and Al, you assholes," and they turn on the Jets. Like, that'd be crazy. But
Kyrie, if you're listening, stop complaining about the refs.
Oh,
you're not a genius, and the Earth is round.
I do want to talk about the whole refs narrative that's like pervasively gone back and forth on Twitter. I do want to talk about that a little bit.
Don't lump me in with that. It is not going back and forth.
Well, no. Like, first of all, Game 1, Horford, the vet savvy that he employed, bumping and being handsy with Giannis worked, and it worked pretty well. And he's done it. The Celtics as a whole team have sort of continued to do that sort of handsiness throughout the series, at times getting more foul calls than others. The Celtics the Celtics players, the team, and their fans have whined collectively incredibly loudly. Bucks fans have been at times upset, but the team itself has maintained, they're calm. And
Bud doesn't get mad at the refs. He might get mad about one individual call, but for an NBA coach, he really doesn't criticize the refs. I thought at times like he should. It might be to a fault. It honestly might be to a fault. Like, I think he should criticize them more. I think you feel the same way. But if I have one beef with NBA officials, and this might be the way the rule's written, when you put your hands on a guy's shoulders as he's trying to go for a layup, that's a flagrant to me.
You're talking about. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking. Okay, because there are two scenarios where that happened in this game. There was the Horford pulling him down to just stop the layup, and then Giannis missed both free throws, so that worked out. That's what you're talking about, right? Yeah. That transition drive.
Issue with
the other one was Lopez had his arm on Kyrie's shoulder, and like sort of he didn't like lean on him. He just sort of used that collectively to move to the rim to get the block. He got called for a foul either way. But that definitely wasn't like the sort of flagrant scenario that I'm sure you're talking about.
No, I'm talking about when you're behind a guy and you don't make a play on the ball, you just grab his shoulders and hold him down. Like that's a flagrant to me.
Yeah.
If you're not making a play on the ball and you're just putting two hands on somebody and holding them down, that's flagrant to me. I don't understand if the rule's not written that way or why it's not even discussed about, but like it's I don't know, it's got to be something. Like people are going to get seriously hurt if you don't let them like I don't know. That's a beef I have, and I don't necessarily think it's with the refs. I think it honestly is a poorly written rule because it should be black and white to me.
Yeah, because somebody could get hurt, but unfortunately, it's not. I agree with you, but unfortunately, it probably won't change until somebody actually does get hurt on a play like that. So, like a notable injury in the playoffs or something. But
I'd be willing to sign a 10-day NBA contract, and somebody can do that to me on my breakaway dunk. And,
wow, Al,
I'm going to sue the
so
NBA for their rules, and
Al,
I will take my cash
brave.
settlement.
You're so brave taking your vet minimum 10-day contract. What was that? Like $700,000 or something?
I think it's like 70,000. No, it's got.
Oh, is it? It's I don't know, but either way, you're
like,
brave.
It's like 3 game checks, and the minimum is like 2.1 million. So, we're doing the math. We're doing the math.
I'm not doing the math.
It's like $150,000. I would take.
Okay,
it.
You're so brave. Days. Wow, brave. 10 days of labor for 150,000. You're so brave.
Yeah, well, I'd probably die. So I can't imagine having to practice with Giannis. Those guys in the T-Mobile commercial are way more cut than I
am. Wow, I did not think that this would be like our funniest podcast yet. Most joke-filled podcast.
I was really feeling myself after this win, so I was pretty confident about it. But I think we're good. I think we covered everything that I want to cover. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Not really. I guess I want Chris to return to playoff Chris form next game. He was kind of bad this game. So on offense at least. So.
Jeez. Yeah, the 2 of 10 from 3 kind of hurts.
4 for 19 from the field, my dude. That's pretty bad. He had 7 assists though, and he had some freaking great passes in this game. By the way, he's definitely had some really great passes lately. He's definitely probably in the playoffs. He's by far the most prolific passer on the Bucks. Would you disagree,
Chris? Yeah. Probably.
Yeah,
I can't really have beef with that. Yeah, that's fair. We can talk more about that in a future pod, though, because I think the playmaking is going to change so much from round to round based on matchups, and the Bucks sort of are set up to have a lot of different playmaking.
Yeah. Well, I think we covered it. Pat Con, he was good today. You apologized on Twitter.
I apologized on Twitter. I'm sorry for ever doubting you.
I'm not gonna apologize for sort of being critical to PatCon recently to the point of being attacked by a few PatCon super fans on Twitter, which was odd. That was the first time I got attacked pretty vehemently on Twitter. I do not take back my comments about PatCon. I still maintain that he is a excellent value contract, but he is immensely frustrating at times, and it's still odd to me that he gets played 32 minutes a night, but he was excellent tonight. I don't really care that much about how much he rebounds. I'll be honest with you folks. He's a guard. It's sweet that he gets 10 rebounds. He still has defensive blunders. He had them in this game even, but then all of a sudden he'll have a great play here and there. He's frustrating, but he's certainly worth his contract. And I think that's all that can be said about Pat Connaughton.
I don't have anything to add. I've said it all. I've let my takes speak for themselves.
Yeah, this is true. All right. I think that's going to do it. Did we get any more questions in, or is that it?
Nope, we're good.
All right, sweet. Well, thank you for listening, everyone. This has been another edition of Buck the World podcast. For Al and myself, we will see you next time.